Earth's dire warning. The end of war means your ruin. The quantum array hummed beneath Dr. Naomi Patel's fingers as she adjusted the reception parameters for the third time that night. The Global Defense Network's deep space listening post in Antarctica wasn't known for picking up anything beyond the usual cosmic background radiation, but something had changed. In the last 48 hours, a pattern had emerged from the noise. Too precise to be natural, too persistent to ignore. Running analysis sequence Delta 7 again, she announced to the empty room, her voice steady despite the exhaustion of a 16-hour shift. The massive quantum receivers shifted imperceptibly, realigning to focus on a distant point in space that shouldn't have been broadcasting anything at all. The pattern emerged clearer this time, a sequence of pulses that made Naomi's heart race. After 15 years of scanning the stars for signs of intelligent life, she had found something that defied explanation. The message was encrypted in a way that seemed impossible. It used quantum principles that human science had only recently begun to understand. Even more impossibly, it was written in a language they could read. "Director Walsh," she called, her finger hovering over the emergency contact button. "I need you to see this immediately." Within hours, the GDN's crisis center had assembled. Naomi stood before the world's leading military and scientific minds, her discovery projected onto the chamber's curved walls. Representatives from every major nation watched in tense silence as she explained what she'd found. "The signal originates approximately 50 light-years from Earth," she explained, highlighting a cluster of stars. "Based on the decay pattern, it's been repeating for at least 3 centuries. Someone wanted to make absolutely certain we'd receive it when we were ready." Director Walsh, her weathered face grave in the holographic light, leaned forward. "And you're certain about the contents?" Naomi nodded, pulling up the decoded message. "It's a warning. There's a force approaching Earth. They call themselves the Harvesters. The message includes technical specifications for weapons, shield frequencies, tactical data. Whoever sent this wanted us to be prepared, or wanted us to exhaust our resources preparing for a phantom threat." General Zhou countered from the Chinese delegation section. "This could be an elaborate deception. The signal includes details about the Harvesters that we can verify," Naomi continued, bringing up another dataset. "Their ships have been observed at the edges of our galaxy, moving in patterns consistent with systematic resource extraction. They've left dozens of dead worlds in their wake." The chamber erupted in heated discussion. Naomi understood their skepticism. Humanity had only recently begun to reach beyond their solar system. The idea that they were now facing an alien threat seemed like something from fiction. But the evidence was undeniable. The signal contained too much specific information. Too many verifiable details. "How long do we have?" Director Walsh's question cut through the chaos. Naomi took a deep breath. "Based on their current velocity and trajectory, 14 months. Maybe less." The silence that followed was deafening. 14 months to prepare humanity for its first contact with an alien civilization, one that had apparently designated Earth as its next target. "There's something else," Naomi continued, her voice steady. "The signal contains more than warnings. There are references to human history that no alien should know. Whoever sent this message knew us, knew our past, and knew exactly when we'd be able to detect their warning." She brought up the final segment of the transmission, the part that had kept her awake for the past 3 nights. "The last part is different. It's not just data. It's a key to something hidden on Earth itself. Something left behind long ago, waiting to be found." The council members exchanged uneasy glances. Humanity had always assumed they were alone in their development, that their civilization had grown in isolation. But this message suggested otherwise, that somewhere in Earth's distant past, they had been visited, perhaps even guided. "I need authorization to assemble a team," Naomi stated firmly. "The message includes coordinates, locations around the world where we might find what was left for us. If we're going to have any chance against the Harvesters, we need to understand who sent this warning and what they left behind." Director Walsh studied her for a long moment before nodding. "You'll have whatever resources you need, Dr. Patel. But remember, this stays absolutely confidential. The last thing we need is global panic." As Naomi left the council chamber, her mind raced with possibilities. She had 14 months to unravel a mystery that spanned light years and millennia, to prepare humanity for a threat they could barely comprehend. And somewhere on Earth, Buried beneath centuries of history lay the key to their survival. She reached her lab and began assembling profiles of the experts she'd need: archaeologists, cryptographers, military strategists. The signal had mentioned specific locations, ancient sites around the world where something had been hidden long ago. Whatever they found, there would have to be enough to help humanity face what was coming. The harvesters were approaching, and Earth's countdown had begun. Commander Marcus Torres stood at the edge of the excavation site in the Atacama Desert, watching as teams of researchers swarmed over the ancient structure they had uncovered. 6 months had passed since Dr. Patel's discovery of the alien signal, and humanity had been changing faster than anyone could have predicted. "The energy signatures are getting stronger," Dr. Jun Nakamura reported, joining him at the observation point. The archaeologist's usual academic calm had given way to barely contained excitement. "Whatever's down there, it's responding to our presence." The structure they'd uncovered wasn't just ancient, it defied conventional archaeology. Beneath the desert sands lay a vast complex of crystalline chambers, filled with technology that shouldn't have existed thousands of years ago. More importantly, it was identical to sites they'd discovered in the Gobi Desert, beneath the Mediterranean, and in the mountains of Tibet. "Have you managed to activate any of it?" Torres asked, studying the holographic readouts hovering above Nakamura's tablet. "Not yet, but we're close. The technology. It's like it's waiting for something specific. The patterns we're seeing match the specifications from Dr. Patel's signal exactly." Torres nodded, his mind racing. The United Earth Defense Force had seemed impossible when first proposed. A complete integration of Earth's military forces under a single command structure. Yet here he was, wearing the new insignia, preparing to coordinate humanity's first line of defense against an alien invasion. His comm unit chimed with an incoming transmission from Dr. Patel. "Commander, we've made a breakthrough at the Mediterranean site. The crystalline structures. They're not just technology. They're some kind of interface." "Interface for what?" "For us. The technology responds to human brainwave patterns. It's like it was calibrated specifically for human consciousness, thousands of years ago." Before Torres could respond, alarms blared across the complex. He turned to see Nakamura staring at his readings in disbelief. "Multiple energy spikes," the archaeologist reported. "All sites, simultaneously." "Commander, I think they're waking up." The ground beneath them trembled as ancient machinery stirred to life. From deep within the complex, a pulse of energy rippled outward, visible as a wave of blue light that spread across the desert floor. Similar reports flooded in from other sites around the world. "Dr. Patel," Torres called over the comm. "What's happening?" "The facilities are linking up," she responded, her voice tight with concentration. "The signal, it wasn't just telling us where to find them. It was the key to activating them." "Commander, these aren't just defensive installations. They're part of a global network, and we've just turned it on." Torres watched as new holographic displays materialized in the air around them, showing data streams that connected all the discovered sites. The technology wasn't just ancient, it was far beyond anything humanity had achieved. "Director Walsh needs to see this," he said, already composing a priority message. "How long until we understand what these facilities can do?" "That's just it," Nakamura interjected, his eyes fixed on the readings. "I don't think we need to understand them. They're designed to understand us." As if in response to his words, the crystalline structures pulsed with internal light, and Torres felt something brush against his mind. A presence, ancient and patient, awakening after millennia of sleep. The facilities weren't just weapons or shields. They were something far more significant. The legacy of a civilization that had prepared for this moment, waiting for humanity to find them when they needed them most. A new alert cut through his thoughts. Long-range sensors had detected movement at the edge of the solar system. The harvester fleet had been spotted, and they were ahead of schedule. "How long?" he asked, knowing the answer would change everything. "At their current velocity," Paddle responded, 3 weeks until they reach Earth orbit." Torres looked at the ancient facility, now humming with power. "Then we have 3 weeks to learn how to use what our ancestors left us." "Dr. Nakamura, Dr. Patel, whatever these facilities can do, we need to unlock their full potential now." "Commander," Nakamura said quietly, "I don't think we're the ones doing the unlocking. I think they're unlocking something in us." As if to prove his point, The crystalline structures pulsed again, and this time Torres felt it clearly. Knowledge, flowing into his mind like a river breaking through a dam. Around him, other personnel stopped what they were doing, experiencing the same phenomenon. Their ancestors hadn't just left them weapons. They'd left them evolution itself. Fleet Admiral Diana Reyes stood on the bridge of the UES Defender, humanity's first true space warfare vessel, watching as the Harvester fleet emerged from the darkness beyond Mars. The massive ships seemed to absorb light itself, their black hulls decorated with patterns that hurt the eyes to look at directly. 97 capital ships detected, her tactical officer reported, his enhanced mind interfacing directly with the ship's systems. In the 2 weeks since the ancient facilities had activated, humanity had changed in ways that defied explanation. Their energy signatures matched the patterns from the warning signal exactly. All defense grid stations report ready, another officer added. The network of orbital platforms they'd constructed based on the signal specifications had been completed just days ago. Planetary shield generators are operating at full capacity. Reyes felt the presence of her crew around her, their thoughts a subtle background hum to her own. The awakening hadn't just given them new abilities, it had connected them in ways that made traditional military coordination obsolete. The Harvesters are transmitting, communications announced. It's a demand for surrender. Let's hear it, Reyes ordered, though she already knew what it would say. The ancestral memories unlocked by the facilities had shown them this moment countless times. A voice that seemed to bypass their ears and speak directly to their minds filled the bridge. Your world has been chosen. Submit to the harvest. Resistance will only increase your suffering. They're deploying their fleet in standard harvest formation, Tactical reported. Just as the ancestral memories showed us. They still think we're primitive. Reyes allowed herself a small smile. Then let's show them how much we've evolved. All ships, execute Battle Plan Omega. Show them what humanity remembers. The battle began with a flash of light that would have been beautiful if it wasn't so deadly. The Harvester fleet launched their first strike, energy beams lancing out toward Earth's orbital defenses. But the attacks never reached their targets. The planetary shield, powered by technologies humanity had only recently remembered, absorbed the energy and redirected it through the defense grid. Orbital platforms lit up like new stars, channeling the stolen power into their own weapon systems. Return fire, Reyes commanded. All ships, engage at will. The human fleet moved with impossible precision, their enhanced crews operating in perfect synchronization. Ships that had been built in desperate haste over the past year now performed maneuvers that should have been impossible, guided by pilots whose consciousness had expanded far beyond normal human limitations. Multiple Harvester vessels showing damage, Tactical reported with satisfaction. Their adaptive shielding can't compensate for weapons they don't recognize. But the Harvesters hadn't conquered countless worlds by being easily defeated. Their ships began to shift, changing formation into patterns that spoke of ancient experience with warfare on a scale humanity was only beginning to comprehend. They're adapting, Reyes observed, feeling the tactical insights from the ancestral memories surge through her mind. Just as they did before. All ships, implement countermeasures sequence 7. The battle evolved into a dance of light and shadow. Human vessels moving with fluid grace, while their massive opponents tried to pin them down with overwhelming force. But for every adaptation the Harvesters made, humanity had an answer, not from tactical computers or strategic algorithms, but from memories passed down through time itself. Admiral, her science officer called out, we're detecting massive energy buildup in their flagship. They're preparing to use their primary weapon. Reyes nodded, having expected this. All ships, clear the target zone. Defense grid, prepare for Protocol Omega. The Harvester flagship's weapon was powerful enough to crack a planet's crust. They'd used it countless times before on worlds that couldn't defend themselves. But as the beam of devastating energy lanced out toward Earth, something unprecedented happened. The planetary shield didn't just block the attack. It caught it, held it, and began to transform it. The ancient facilities on Earth's surface hummed with power as they executed programming laid down millennia ago for exactly this moment. Now, Reyes ordered, feeling the combined consciousness of her fleet unite with the planetary defense systems. Show them what they've really awakened. The transformed energy burst outward from Earth in a wave of pure possibility, carrying with it the accumulated knowledge and power of a civilization that had refused to be forgotten. Where it touched the harvester ships, their technology began to change, responding to patterns encoded in the energy itself. "Admiral," her tactical officer reported with awe. "Their ships. They're receiving the signal. The same signal that warned us. We're not just fighting them. We're trying to wake them up." Rice finished. "Just as we were awakened. All ships, maintain the pattern. The real battle isn't for survival anymore. It's for understanding." As the wave of energy continued to expand outward, carrying humanity's remembered legacy into the darkness of space, Rice felt something stir in the collective consciousness of her crew. A memory not of war, but of what had come before it. And in that memory lay the true purpose of everything their ancestors had left behind. Captain Amara Okonjo moved through the ancient facility beneath Mount Kilimanjaro with supernatural grace, her enhanced senses mapping every crystalline corridor and energy signature. The transformation of humanity had accelerated beyond anyone's expectations, and her specialized team of defenders represented the leading edge of that evolution. "Another pulse incoming," her second in command, Lieutenant Ravi Mehta, reported telepathically. The neural links between enhanced humans had become as natural as breathing. The harvesters are trying to breach the facility's outer defenses. Through their shared consciousness, Amara felt the alien presence pressing against the facility's shields, not just with weapons, but with a desperate kind of hunger that she was only beginning to understand. "Dr. Nakamura," she called through their quantum-encrypted channel. "What have you found?" The archaeologist's response came with a burst of associated imagery and data, a new way of communication that had emerged with their enhanced capabilities. The facility's central chamber. It's not just a defense system. It's a library of consciousness itself. Amara and her team converged on Nakamura's location, moving through the ancient structure with fluid efficiency. They found him in a vast spherical chamber, surrounded by streams of light that seemed to flow like water through the air. "The harvesters," Nakamura explained, his enhanced mind processing centuries of data in moments. "They weren't always what they are now. Look at this." The flowing light coalesced into images, a history written in energy and memory. They saw a civilization that had once been beautiful, explorers and philosophers who had unlocked the secrets of consciousness itself. But something had gone wrong. They tried to force their evolution, Nakamura continued, merged with their technology too quickly, too completely. They lost something essential in the process, their connection to the very consciousness they had tried to understand. A massive explosion rocked the facility. Through their shared awareness, Amara felt the harvester ships pressing their attack with renewed desperation. "They can sense what's in here," she realized. "They're not trying to destroy it. They're trying to reach it." "Captain." Lieutenant Mehta's mental call came with urgent clarity. "The energy patterns, they're changing. The facility is responding to the attack, but not how we expected." The streams of light around them pulsed with new intensity, and Amara felt knowledge flooding into her enhanced mind. The facility wasn't just defending itself, it was preparing to implement a program that had waited millennia for this exact moment. "All teams, fall back to the central chamber," she ordered. "Dr. Nakamura, what's happening?" "The facilities aren't just showing us who the harvesters were," he responded, his voice filled with wonder. "They're showing us who we are, who we've always been." The chamber's crystalline walls began to resonate with a frequency that seemed to pierce the veil between past and present. In their enhanced state, every human in the facility could see it. Memories not just from their ancestors, but from the dawn of consciousness itself. "We're not just humanity," Amara whispered, understanding flowing through her like a river. "We're what they were trying to become. Our evolution wasn't random. It was guided, prepared for this moment." Through their collective consciousness, they felt Admiral Rice's fleet engaging the harvesters in orbit, felt the planetary defense grid channeling powers that humanity was only beginning to comprehend. But now they understood. The real battle wasn't being fought with weapons. "The facilities," Nakamura said, watching as new patterns emerged in the flowing light. "They're not just defending us. They're trying to save the harvesters too. We're not meant to destroy them. We're meant to remind them of what they lost." As if in response to his words, the facility's energy patterns shifted again, and Amara felt a new presence emerging in their collective consciousness. Ancient, patient, and finally ready to reveal its true purpose. Their ancestors hadn't just left them weapons. They'd left them the key to healing a wound in the universe itself. Strategic Director Viktor Petrov stood in the Global Defense Command Center, his enhanced mind connected to the consciousness of every defender on Earth and in orbit. The Harvester fleet hung in space like a constellation of dark stars, their attacks having ceased in the face of humanity's unprecedented response. "They're trying to communicate," Dr. Naomi Patil announced, her consciousness resonating with the ancient facility's energy patterns. Not with weapons or demands now, something deeper. Through their shared awareness, they felt the Harvester's signal, not a transmission of data, but a ripple in consciousness itself. After millennia of isolation, sealed away from the very awareness they had once tried to master, they were reaching out. "Show them," Petrov commanded, and humanity responded as one. The ancient facilities across Earth pulsed with power, sending forth not destruction but understanding. The crystalline technologies that had awakened humanity's dormant potential now reached out to those who had lost their way. Through their enhanced perception, they saw the truth of the Harvester's journey, a civilization that had achieved technological perfection at the cost of their own souls. Their harvesting of worlds hadn't been mere conquest, it had been a desperate search for what they had lost. The signal, Patil realized, the final pieces falling into place. Our ancestors didn't just warn us about the Harvesters, they prepared us to help them. In orbit, Admiral Rice's fleet maintained their defensive positions, but now they projected something new. A field of conscious energy that embraced the Harvester ships like a living thing. The ancient facilities had shown humanity how to bridge the gap between organic consciousness and technological advancement, achieving the synthesis that the Harvesters had sought for so long. "They're responding," Petrov observed, feeling the shift in the alien consciousness. After all these millennia, they're remembering. The transformation began slowly at first, a single Harvester ship's aggressive energy patterns shifting, softening, returning to harmonies that it had forgotten eons ago. Then another, and another, like stars rekindling after a long night. Through their collective consciousness, humanity shared their newfound understanding. The balanced path between evolution and preservation, between advancement and wisdom. The very qualities that the Harvesters had dismissed as primitive were the key to the transcendence they had sought. "Our ancestors," Patil said, her mind filled with the knowledge flowing from the facilities. "They weren't just an advanced civilization. They were the ones who first achieved this balance. When they saw the Harvesters losing their way, they didn't just fight them. They planned for this moment. A moment of healing," Petrov agreed, "not conquest." The Harvester fleet's transformation accelerated, their ships' very structures beginning to reflect the change in their consciousness. Where there had been angles designed to inspire fear, new patterns emerged. Complex, beautiful, alive with possibilities. From the facility beneath Mount Kilimanjaro, Captain Okonjo and Dr. Nakamura witnessed the fulfillment of their ancestors' plan. The libraries of consciousness they had discovered weren't just records, they were seeds planted in preparation for this cosmic spring. "Look," Nakamura called, as new data flowed through the facility systems. "They're sharing their own memories now. Not just of what they lost, but of what they found along the way. All the worlds they visited, all the civilizations they encountered, they were collecting pieces of a puzzle they couldn't solve alone." Humanity's first contact with alien life hadn't been a war for survival, it had been a reunion long in the making. The Harvesters' approach hadn't been an invasion, but a return to a truth their ancestors had preserved for them. As the transformed Harvester ships took up peaceful positions around Earth, Petrov felt a new chapter beginning. Humanity had not only survived their trial by fire, they had transcended it, achieving something their ancestors had hoped for, but could not guarantee. "The warning," Patil said softly, understanding at last the full meaning of the signal that had started everything. It wasn't just about the end of war, it was about the beginning of healing. The ancient facilities pulsed one final time, their purpose fulfilled. They had preserved not just knowledge or technology, but hope itself, hope that consciousness, in all its forms, could find its way back to harmony. Above them, the stars seemed to shine with new brightness, as if reflecting the awakened awareness that now stretched between Earth and the vast cosmos beyond. Humanity's journey was just beginning, but they would not walk that path alone. The war that never was had ended, the healing that always could be had begun.